Okay. But there are a lot of people who, they may see you on the events, but they don't really know who you are. I would say that our team is new within the last 2 years. And so they didn't know you before when you were working in the field. They've only known you as a corporate side.
So much of my life pre corporate side, right, Tamika?
Yeah.
You know what I just thought I would do? I think I'm going to take this lampshade off. Well, maybe I'll do that later. Never mind. Does it feel like a dungeon in here? It kind of feels like a dungeon for me. But that's all right. A little bit. Yes. Tasha, thank you for your honesty there. It definitely feels like a dungeon. All right. So a little background about me. You guys, do you know I've been with this amazing company now for almost 16 years. 16 years I have lived my life with It Works. And I can't even believe it because I still feel like a baby. But 16 years is a long time. And in my previous life, I was actually a teacher and a basketball coach. So Tamika and I have that teaching background in common. And that's all I ever wanted to do my whole life. My whole life, all I ever wanted to do was teach, coach. And then I also wanted to start a family, and probably more than teach and coach, I wanted to be a mom. And so when I found out I was expecting my son Landon, I remember just thinking, how can I go to school and raise everybody else's kids while somebody's home raising mine? And it was in that moment, everything shifted for me. And it was just like, the discomfort of missing my son's first and not being there for him in his younger years was more uncomfortable than the fear of, could I do this? The fear of, am I worthy of this? The fear of, can this work for me? Just all the things that run through your head that make you feel like this isn't going to be a good fit. And probably all the excuses I'd been making up to that point, I always say you have to pick your hard. And at that moment, my hard was by far not being home with my son when he was young. And so that's when I decided to start It Works. And for those of you that don't know, I am a daughter of Mark and Cindy Pentecost. And the company had been around 6 years before I actually joined the business. And that was because I just wasn't ready. And, I want you to know that you probably have a whole list of people that you've been talking to or dreaming about joining your team. And here's what I can promise you. The fact that they have not said yes yet doesn't mean that they never will. Because quite honestly, it's usually a timing thing. And it's typically when somebody goes through a transition that everything changes. And then let's just talk about those people on your team right now that you wonder why they're not doing anything, or you feel like they have all this potential, but they're not living up to it. Don't give up on them. Don't quit on them. I'm not saying beg them. I'm not saying give all your time and attention to trying to get them jump started, but I am saying continue to invite them along on this journey, because you never know when that moment of the light bulb is going to go on for them. They may have joined, but that transition moment hasn't happened for them. So in 2006 is when that happened for me. I joined the business. It still took me 6 months to sign my first distributor. I'll say that again. It took me 6 months to sign my first distributor. And then, believe it or not, I was the second ambassador of the company, first Black Diamond, first presidential in my 2.0, and then I transitioned into the corporate side. So I'd like to say I was a double ambassador, an ambassador in my 2.0, but I moved over to the corporate side before tackling that next milestone. I don't say that to brag. I say that to impress upon you the experience that I've had in the field. And then I want you to know that it's important to me that I stay very close to you guys, because I think the best way I can serve you is by being very involved in what you're doing in the field, so that I can represent us well at the corporate table. And I think that's one thing that sets It Works uniquely apart is, previous to me going onto the corporate side, you had Mark and Pam, Mike, who had all built in the field before. And there's just a different perspective you have when you've built in the field. And so, that unique perspective can help us serve well on the corporate side, allow you guys to go out and do what you need to do, and trust that we're going to deliver what you need to continue to build it big out in the field. So Tamika, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Is there anything else you want me to touch on a little more?
Well, I want to know in the comments, you guys, if you didn't know that Kami was Mark's daughter, will you just drop a 1? If you didn't know that, okay. But I just think to myself, I'm like, if I were you, I would be like, hey, my dad owns this company, join my team. And you would think that everybody would just join with you because you would be given special treatment because your dad owns the company. And so do you want to kind of, because I feel like sometimes people feel like, and this is a leadership call, so I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying, like, I've felt this way personally, and I know that some of you guys have felt this way, but some of us feel like, oh, we've been in a long time, or, you know, we're in this position in a certain chart and maybe we should be given like extra help, or, you know, and you being the CEO's daughter, you know, you still had to buy your kit, and he wasn't like sliding you customers or distributors under the table, because you said it took you 6 months before you got your first one. And so how, and then just, you know, doing the business, you're at the top leg. You didn't have an upline to help you at all. And so do you want to just kind of speak on that a little bit about how you built and worked through that mindset maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. If my internet is ever bad, let me know and I'll turn my camera off so that you can hear me well. I'm literally in the mountains right now and there's absolutely no cell service. So I'm just depending on Wi-Fi here at the house. So I was going to say that before you pointed that out. Not only did people not know I was Mark's daughter, my last name was different. My last name is the same now because unfortunately I've been through a divorce, but no, my last name was different. I would have people text me during Christmas and go, how do I get an invite to the CEO's house for Christmas? Like, that's how much people did not know that I was Mark and Cindy's daughter. And you guys, that was a me thing. There were times when Dad would call me his daughter and I'd say, I don't want that. And I don't need that. I actually, you guys, he was harder on me. Do you know that when they had contests, for the most part, I could never win them? If there would have been a $10,000 drawing, or if there would have been I just automatically was not eligible to win those things. And not only did people not know I was a Pentecost, my last name was Dempsey. And if you get to know my dad well at all, he's harder on us than he is on you guys, as an example. And there certainly has probably been some resentment for that over my life, especially as a younger person. But I think now as an adult, I appreciate what that equipped me for. And no, I had no upline. I had zero upline. So here's the thing. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I have a podcast out there about advocating for yourself. And I would highly recommend you go here, listen to it, because you're in a very unique, special position being on Tamika's team. I know you have systems. I know you have a great team page. I know you have incredible, even if your sponsor isn't necessarily all in, somebody in your upline cares about you. I know that to be true if you're on this call with Tamika and the team of leaders that are represented here. So here's the deal. I had to get really well at advocating for myself. And the reason I say that is because I reached out to Rusty Lackey time and time again to get like the tough love talks when I needed a kick in the pants. There were other leaders in the business that I would call when I needed something. If I heard something on one of the calls that inspired me, something someone was doing, I would reach out to that leader and pick their brain. Listen, you guys, they're rarely going to ignore you. They're rarely going to tell you, I'm sorry, you're not in my downline. I can't talk to you. That's like never going to happen. And yet we don't reach out and ask. And I don't know what that is. It's probably the same reason some of us really struggle to reach out and prospect a little bit. You know, we're afraid of the rejection factor. We don't want to put anybody out. We don't want to bother anybody. And yet it's not a bother. When's the last time somebody's reached out to you and asked you for something and you thought they were a bother? As a matter of fact, when somebody reaches out to you and says, I'll give you an example, Tamika, oh my gosh, the boards you have, those are amazing. Can you share what you're doing with me? Tamika's going to be like, oh, you know, she's feeling a little pat on the back and she's going to go, listen, sis, this is what I'm doing. And here's how you can access it. Like, rarely does anybody say no. And if they do, guess what? Move on. Somebody next will care and they will share. And so I really put myself in position to learn from a lot of people. And so while I had no upline, there was no shortage of opportunities for me to learn and grow. And I wasn't just learning from people that had come before me. I was learning from people that were coming after me too, because that's why I believe I was not only winning, but I kept on winning because I was not afraid to reach out and try something new. I was not afraid to ask the questions that may look like, as an ambassador in the company, maybe I didn't have all the answers. No, I think that's what I love about teachers. I think teachers are not afraid to steal ideas. I think teachers are not afraid to recycle the great ideas is really what it is. And so why would I want to reinvent something if there's something out there working, you know? And typically it can give us a spark. So I did not have an upline, but I definitely learned the skill of advocating for myself. And I would strongly encourage you to do the same. The other thing I'll tell you, what'd you say?
I love that. And, you know, I feel like so many times people are afraid to go outside of our team. And if they will listen, you know, on the Diamond and Above calls or see who's, you know, contributing in the Road to VIP page or hopping on the enroll-a-thons And, you know, you guys find those sideline sisters who are doing something that you're interested in or that you want to learn more about and reach out to them. I mean, I went live in the Road to VIP page on Saturday or Friday, and my inbox is blowing up with people asking me all of these questions, and like I'm helping them and they're not even on our team. And I just think, man, like they're just reaching out to a complete stranger asking me for help or advice, or, you know, and I'm letting them hop on the power hours and things that we have available. But unless if you guys put yourself out there, then you're not going to grow more than what I've given you. And there's so much more out there. And so I really love that you said that, because I think it's important for them to hear it. And I haven't ever explained it in that way. And I think just hearing you say advocating for yourself doesn't just have to be to corporate that you can do things. It's advocating for yourself, for sideline sisters, and finding new content and things that inspire you to keep working in a different way than what I've taught you, or that your leaders have taught you. So sorry, I just wanted to reiterate that a little bit.
No, I love that. We're very laid back and chill. And one thing I'll tell you guys, I know we talk a lot about color personalities, but the best thing you can do by learning your color personality is really having a lot of self-awareness. You guys, I am the person that was teaching school and I changed my bulletin boards every single month. I was the person that was teaching school and I would rearrange my classroom and give new like seating assignments almost every other week, if not every week, because I just am that kind of person that needs to move my furniture around, see new things. And so the business was the same for me. And I just needed fresh new sparks. That always made me feel like it was fun and fresh, right? And so now again, be careful, because I want to be careful that we're not distracting, starting and not finishing something. But I'm talking about, listen, when we talk about the 5 fundamentals of building, things like you're always building your list, right? I don't care what month it is. I don't care what kind of promotion you're running for. Every single month, there should be something we're doing almost daily that's helping us build our list. Every single day, we're inviting them to learn more about It Works. Every single day, we're sharing the story of It Works. We're sharing our own stories, social media, through direct message, maybe on a Zoom. You know, every day we're working to seal the deal. We're following up. We're continuing that conversation. And then we're duplicating those things. Those fundamentals don't change. But the way in which we're building our list, the way in which we're sealing the deal, maybe we learn a new script that we're like, ooh, I like that. And maybe we get some great responses from it. Maybe, it's a new way of organizing the way that you use your scripts. Again, the fundamentals don't change, but the techniques in which we're doing that can evolve. And that's what keeps it kind of exciting, you know? And again, I think every single one of us should be doing host to post every single day. I think every single day we should be cold messaging. But again, there are fresh new ways that we can make that a little bit more exciting. So that's definitely, one of the things I did, Tamika, that made me very successful in this business. But advocating for myself was a real key to my success. And I've got a blog coming up this week, actually. And so on my website, KamiPentecost.com, I have a blog. And so I've got the podcast and the blog. And I really want you guys to take that seriously. Tamika, I remember when I started talking about that a little bit, you really have done a great job advocating for yourself. But I just knowing you, even hearing me talk about it today, you're probably going to take that to the next level. I know you.
Well, I've taken what you said on our last call that we had about learning to advocate more for my team. And so, when we got invited to do the power hour on Friday, I got to do it with Maria, who's on this call, and she got to share the scripts and stuff in Spanish. And so I am trying to take it to the next level in the sense of advocating more and getting my team more involved. And I think them hearing this from you too lets them know that like corporate wants us to advocate. They want us to step up in our strengths and give to everybody. And so just being willing to do that, even if it's in the comments of a Zoom call, you guys, like, even if it's in the comments of a thread of a post that's in the Road to VIP page, like we just need to give of what we have, because when we give, we are able to receive. So what else did you have to say besides advocating? Was there a second part to that you were going to go into?
If there was, I don't remember. So maybe the more you ask, the more something, if it's supposed to come up, will come back up.
Okay, so I want to kind of get into leadership, because as you know, I reached out to you last year and I was like, we're going to go presidential, and we hit it on boxes and then we missed it on volume. And 2 months ago, we were at 108,000. Last month, we're at 102,000. So now we've got the volume and now we need the rank ups. And, I was talking to a leader today and I was just saying, we need leaders who are willing to do what it takes, and like they're willing to get creative and willing to get scrappy or stay up later, do the sacrifice, and so when you think about building in the field, when you were pushing for a promotion, or maybe just how do you not get tired? How do you keep the excitement, the fire? I mean, to do this for 16 years, you've got to get creative with it, and you've got to, I mean, I don't know the question I'm trying to ask, but so.
Well, I kind of spoke to this a little bit in me telling you guys my personality is one in which I have to, have new things. So it feels fresh and exciting. But here's the deal, you guys, I didn't join this business for a year. I didn't join this business to hit a rank or an income level. This wasn't, I'm going to give it 2 years, and if I don't, I'm done. This isn't, I'm going to kill myself for 6 months and then have to recover for the next. This is a career. So while there's definitely times in the year, it's more of a sprint than it is a marathon. I'm here for it. There might be seasons where I'm going 75 miles an hour, and other seasons maybe 50, but I'm telling you, like, I have a long-term vision. This is a career. So again, if any of you have given yourself a deadline, I want you to know you might as well quit now. Why do I say that? Because if you've given yourself a deadline, that means you've actually given yourself a way out. And guess what our brains automatically do? They search for the back door when there is one. So if you really want to do something big in this business, if you really want to change your family's life, and you believe this is the vehicle you've been given to do that, then there is no matter of when. It's just a matter, I mean, there is no matter of if, it's just a matter of when. There is no deadlines. This is a constant investment, bottom line. And so that's why I love the Sabbath. Why? Because I can run like hell for 6 days and take a Sabbath and not burn out. Man, I wish I would have known that early on in my business, because I had a whole lot of burnout, and then I'd be down for like 2 or 3 days, and then I get back up and crush it again. And maybe not the healthiest way to build my business. I got overweight sometimes. I wasn't eating well. But what I will say is there are going to be seasons you're running 75, 80, 90 miles an hour, but then there's going to be the majority that you're running 50. So you have to have long-term vision. What does that look like? Well, you have big dreams on your dream board, big goals, and maybe that's presidential, right? But maybe that's more of a dollar amount more than it is even a position. It's a dollar amount that's attached to that because it represents something to you. That's a dream board item. And then if you want to set that as a goal, you're going to work backwards and set small goals to help you reach the big goal. But I will say this, often we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 5. So some of you are setting 1 month, 2 month, 3 month goals, and they're big, hairy, audacious goals. I love that. But what if you don't hit it? Then what? Is that going to be the end? Or is that just you're setting a short-term sprint to really create momentum, and you know that if you don't hit it, at least you're going to be a whole lot farther along than you were, right? Like that's got to be the mindset. And you guys, Tamika, I know you and I are reading the Winning the War in the Mind, which I will just say she's finished it, and I'm still on chapter 3 because I take a little time, and she crushed it already like a month ago. But I will never get tired of hearing that battles are won and lost in the mind before you ever get on the playing field. Here's what I want you to know. If you don't believe you can hit your goal this month, you're absolutely right. That's it. So what you need to do is figure out how to win in the mind first, or the results are not going to come. Now, here's what I love. You can be in the game doing KPIs, your income producing activities, and at least you're going to get some results. But if you want to get massive results, it's got to happen here first. You got to do the work here. Your income will never surpass this, ever. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care how inspired you are coming out of an event. I don't care how often you're signing up customers. It's like a freaking black hole if you don't believe it here. It just isn't going to happen. You know what? Your team believes it. Your team sees it if you don't believe it. Your customers can sense it. Your prospects can sense it. It's got to happen here first. And if it's not happening here, you got to be committed to your personal development like you need oxygen. You got to care what that inner circle that you're hanging around with and what you're allowing to feed into your mind is saying. You got to pay attention. You got to move people out and bring the right people in. I mean, you guys, these things matter. There are some days, you guys, where I have motivational things playing in the background of my house all day long because it's that bad of a day. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to know yourself well enough to make sure you're setting up the proper parameters to set you up to win. And it starts right here. So Tamika, I wish I had like a secret formula to like cheat the system, but there is no cheating the system. And can I just Have any of you guys ever watched someone come in and go really fast and you're like, I have been doing the right things for a very long time. How did that just happen? Right? Like, do you feel that way? Well, here's the deal. There are no shortcuts. They've done the mind work before they got here. And if they didn't, guess what? They may hit the goal, but they're not going to maintain it. They're going to fall right down to where their mindset actually is. So, and sometimes we fall down, not because our mindset is there, but because maybe someone moved on. And so we've had to, redevelop that aspect of our business. And that just is a part of this, you guys. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. I'm not saying there might not be areas you can grow in your leadership development to really be a better leader of leaders. But what I am telling you is that's a natural part of the business. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good, but you know what? It's part of the business. And I say that to you to give you permission that when that happens, not to fall apart. Because if you fall apart, it's just going to take that much longer to get everything back where you need it to be. And so it's just a part of the business. It's happened to all of us. And yet I believe there are things we can do to equip us to be that much better of a leader of leaders, that we're building the relationship. We have the culture that people want to stay, but you can't force them to stay. And why would you want to? Early on in my business, anytime someone left, it crushed me so bad. I started to harden my heart. And I'll tell you what, you won't be very good at this business if your heart is hard. This is a people business. Even though we sell health products, weight loss products, nutrition products, guess what? Our number one product is people. And so if your heart is hard, guess what? You're not going to be really good for the people. You're not going to be a good leader. So I developed a mantra very early on in my business. And the mantra was, no matter how long I get to have someone in my business, whether it is for a short-term time frame, a long-term time frame, their lifetime, I'm going to leave them better than how I found them. So while they're here with me, they're going to be better off when they leave than how they came. And by doing that and adopting that mindset, it allowed me to bless them when they left. Does that make sense? Because you can't force them to stay. But because I had that mindset and because I'm genuinely investing in people to make them better, I don't lose many people. Now, don't get me wrong. Every time someone loses these days, it's my people. But, so I've definitely lost people. But I just realized a lot of times, and sometimes it's just part of their journey. They'll be back. Sometimes they won't be, and that's okay. Were they better when they were with us? And guess what? We did the best we could while they were with us. Is their bank account healthier? Are they better with finances? Are they a better human? Those are the things that get me excited, even when people don't go the long haul with us. I got really off on that, Tamika.
No, and I was going to say, it actually just really came full circle for me. And kind of just put the pieces together, because if you decide that this is your career, then you really have to have the long-term vision, which is going to take winning the war in your mind, because you're going to have multiple ones. And, when you talked about hardening your heart, we had a couple leaders who've been with me for a long time leave last month, and it made me bitter for a couple days. And then I remember I say that mantra all the time. I'm just going to leave people better than when I found them, leave people better than when I found them. And, that only happens. You can only keep going in this business if you treat it like a career. And, like I was talking to Kelly Jo, I told her, I just said, I feel like my job isn't really selling health and wellness products. It's finding broken people and fixing them. And I get paid very well to do that. And so what am I complaining about? What am I sad about? Let me go find the next broken person that I can fix, either broken in the mind, broken in the finances, broken in the body. Like, who's the next broken person I can find and leave them a little bit better? And when I had that shift, it was literally like 2 weeks ago, and I had that shift, I realized that, this is my career. This is honestly what I want. I don't want to go into counseling. I don't want to have a degree for that, but I love doing this, and just to leave people better than you found them. It makes it a long-term career, and I have to make sure I keep my mind right so I can continue to pour into people. So I think what you said is just full circle what we do in this business. If you want to go far, if you want to, get to where you ultimately want to be. And I like to, that you said, don't set a deadline, because a lot of times, we're like, hey, we're going to be this by the end of the month. And, now we've said that enough that it's like, you know what, let's enjoy what we're doing. Let's put it on cruise at 60. Let's stay consistent. Let's continue to bring in new people, and let's run with the people who have that why that's strong enough that makes them want to work, makes them want to go. And let's link arms with those people and run with them and help them get to diamond, but if you're in the stage where maybe you don't have a why that kicks your butt every single day, that makes you cry, that, you know, reach down your team, find their whys and help them get to Ruby. And I think that that's something that we can do as Ruby and Above leaders, and it will continue to help our businesses flourish and keep us going and excited.
Well, and I think it's great to have volume goals. I think it's great to have like a Power of One club. I think it's great to have a Steps of Success club. Can you imagine if you're getting the masses to get their one, and then when they get their Steps of Success, they go into the next club, the momentum that that's going to breed. And make sure you have those goals. Have those goals. Definitely don't be afraid to have goals. But you guys, the goal doesn't change. The deadlines do sometimes. And that's what you need to be flexible with, especially when you look at this as a career. Otherwise, you're just saying, oh, this is an if or a not. And I was just, for me, it was just a matter of when. That was kind of my mantra from day one of this business. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And this is what I want, and this is why I want it. And I'm going to tell anybody who will listen. And quite frankly, while everybody deserves to hear about this, I realize not everybody's going to take advantage of it, but they deserve to hear it. So my job is to make sure they hear it. And then if they decide they're not ready yet, that's all right. I'll continue to be the person that is consistent online, that is continue to tell the same story and new stories, that they realize new people are changing their lives. I'm going to do the best that I can do with what I've been given. You guys, this is a funny story. And Tamika, I don't think I've ever told this story ever in 16 years. So this will be the first time. You guys, I grew up with a grandpa who is just, I would say, my grandma and grandpa, my dad's mom and dad, are probably the two people that taught me what love looked like the most. And it was because of how they loved me. And yet my grandpa teased me. So when I tell you guys what he used to do to tease me, you won't think he's a jerk. You'll realize it was just playing with me, because genuinely the two of them were just, I just knew how loved I was. And no matter what I did, the biggest mistake, anything, they would love me no matter what. My grandpa and I used to play cards together all the time, and he was tough on me. And if I wasn't getting good cards, he would let me have it. If I wasn't playing my cards well, he would let me have it. I mean, talk about pressure at a young age. But if I ever complained about my cards, my grandpa would always say this: you're not going to get better cards till you play with the ones that you've got. Until you play with the ones you've got, you will not get better cards. And I want you guys to know this: if you are complaining about the people that you have on your team, if you're complaining about the results that you're getting in this business, guess what? You will not get better results. You will not get better behavior until you appreciate what you have, until you're thankful for what you have, till you honor what you have. What does honoring what you have look like? I don't care who is on your team. If you are speaking words of death, destruction, and defeat over those people, you are not honoring them. I don't care what they're doing. What do you see in them? What do you know they want? What is their potential? If they were operating at their highest potential, what would that look like? Because until you start speaking that over them, until you start seeing that in them, and that starts here, they typically don't operate at that level until somebody is believing it in them, even if it's before they believe it in themselves. And most times, Tamika, I'm sure you can speak to this. This is why I got into teaching. Teachers looked at me, saw me, and spoke into my life things that I didn't even know were possible about myself. And until they said it, I don't think I knew that that was possible for me. And I think for us, we can see the results aren't where we want them to be yet. But why would we focus on that? Instead, we could focus on all the possibility, on all the potential, on all the good things out there for us to go out and grab. And why not us? Why not now? So when you start to think about a negative thought or a word about the people on your team, their lack of effort, their lack of results, or even your own lack of results, I want you to remember what Kami's granddaddy says. And he says, until you play with the cards you've been given, you're not getting better ones. And so we got to learn how to be grateful and honor what we've been given right here, right now, before we'll ever graduate to that next level. Because I truly believe God's saying, you don't even appreciate what I'm giving you now. Why would I give you something different? I genuinely believe that. And you know what? When Tamika says we take broken people and we make them, we fix them, we actually take broken people. We're all broken, aren't we? And we help them raise to their highest potential. That's what we get to do. And if that's not what you're doing, if you're expecting them to come in with it all figured out, you got the wrong perspective, my friend. And until you get the right perspective, then you're just hoping that you get those overnight wonders. And that's rare and few between. 99% of the people that were ever on my team required a lot of sweat equity is what I would call it. And that means there is no shortcuts. We hustled. We were up till wee hours of the night. We were up early in the morning. We missed a lot of our kids' things. We missed a lot of fun things so that we were investing in our business. And it wasn't a sacrifice. It's a trade-off. We get to do those things to build our business. And so until you're putting in the sweat equity, until you're playing with the cards you've been given, guess what? You're not going to get a better hand.
I love that. So good. Okay. And I don't know how long we have you. I know the family calls in 30 minutes. So I just have one more question because this is a leaders call.
Perfect.
What do leaders do? What would you say leaders do? And you kind of talked about speaking good over your teams, but either like, you gave us the daily action steps. We're always building our list. We're new invite, sharing stories. Is there anything else that you would give as a suggestion or something that leaders do?
Well, first of all, it's funny you say that. My podcast was called What Do Leaders Do?
Right. And you guys need to follow her on. You need to go subscribe to her podcast. And you are doing emails. You have your email subscription list too.
Yes. If you go to kamipentecost.com/contact, you can subscribe to my newsletter and it comes out twice a month, every other Wednesday.
Yes.
And the reason is because you guys, I really believe God put me on this earth to empower, equip, and encourage you guys in whatever it is that you're doing. And so even as a mom, as a spouse, just whatever your career is outside of it works, I believe it'll help you continue to take things to that next level. But it's really hard for me to narrow down what leaders do because there's so many things leaders do. But I think probably the number one thing I would say is when a leader gets better, anything around them gets better. And so I would be so fiercely committed to growth, so fiercely committed to getting outside your comfort zone, so fiercely committed to developing your mind, which is just reading positive things, listening to positive things, being around positive people, that when you get better, your business will get better, your family will get better, your team will get better. So, and leaders lead by example. And so you got to get better. You've got to dedicate yourself to growth, because when you do that, everything around you will get better. It will. And it might not be perfect, but it'll be better. And you can build upon that. And so, leadership isn't for the faint of heart. That's for sure. But I would say growth, Tamika. It is, what do leaders do? They're committed to growth, because as you continue to grow, you guys, it gets better up here. It gets better everywhere.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep my girls for at least 10 more minutes, but we really, really appreciate you.
Well, I had to be careful not to say things I was going to say on the call tonight. I didn't want it to sound repetitive. So make sure you guys join us for the call tonight. And I will just give this shameless plug because it's very important. Don't miss that event in the fall. And whether Tamika's hosting the watch party or you host your own, because you can get some of your local people to show up more, make that a priority. We've given you plenty of time right now to set up those watch parties and to get that ticket. You can't afford not to get those perks. And obviously, if we're talking about making this a career, you're not just thinking about this month. You're not just thinking about next month. You're committed to the event in the fall because you're like, hey, this is a career. And not only will I still be here, but I'll be as committed, if not more committed. My business will be higher than where it is now. I'll be further along the path to my goals that I've set, my big, hairy, audacious goals, and being a part of that event in the fall is a non-negotiable. So that's what I would say as I leave you guys here tonight, and I will see you tonight on the family call.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness, you guys. So good, right? So good. Okay, so lots and lots of nuggets. Let's go ahead and break some down. I'll go ahead and stop.